42 years. Think about what that number means. 42 years of shared mornings, of knowing how the other person takes their tea, of sleeping beside the same warmth every night, until that warmth becomes so familiar it stops being noticed. The way breathing stops being noticed. The way your own heartbeat stops being noticed. 42 years of raising children, of building something, of becoming, slowly and completely, two people so interwoven that the boundary between where one ends and the other begins grows difficult to locate. 42 years of believing you knew someone. This is the story of Mavis, and the afternoon she discovered that 42 years is a very long time to keep a secret. Cedric was 69 years old when he died. He had spent the better part of 4 decades as a school principal, a position he wore with the particular dignity of a man who understood that his influence extended far beyond lesson plans and examination results. He had shaped children, hundreds of them, over the years, had watched them grow into people who remembered his name, who sent cards at Christmas, who stopped him in supermarkets 20 years later to say, "Sir, you changed my life." He was respected, admired, the kind of man a community points to when it wants to show its children what it looks like to live with integrity. At home, he was simply Cedric, Mavis's husband, Thomas and Gladys's father. Mavis was 65, a former school teacher herself. They had met, in the way of certain love stories, through the shared world of education. Two people who believed in the same things and found in each other someone who confirmed that belief. She was warm and steady, and the kind of mother whose home always had food and space and an open door. The kind of woman who measured her life in the well-being of the people she loved. They had raised Thomas and Gladys well. Both children had grown into accomplished, independent people. Thomas, 36, was a social worker, his father's sense of community duty transmitted directly. Gladys, 40, was a lawyer, her mother's precision and her father's moral clarity combined into something formidable. Both were married. Both were settled. The house Cedric and Mavis had built together had done its job, and then Cedric's heart stopped on an ordinary Tuesday morning. No warning, no prolonged illness, no chance for last words or final arrangements, or the particular conversations that people imagine they will have when the time comes. He was simply there. And then he was not. Mavis sat in the hospital corridor, while Thomas held one hand and Gladys held the other. And she felt the specific, catastrophic silence of a woman whose life has just lost its longest sound. She had not yet been given time to grieve. Something was coming that would not give her that time. The funeral was arranged with the care and dignity that Cedric's life deserved. The church was full. Former colleagues, former students, community members, friends accumulated over decades, all of them arriving to pay respects to a man who had meant something to them. The eulogies were honest and warm. People cried the good tears, the ones that honor rather than mourn. Mavis sat in the front row in her black dress and held herself together with the particular strength of a woman who has decided that she will not fall apart in public, that she will give her husband a dignified farewell, that there will be time later, private time, for the full weight of this to land. She noticed the woman, not immediately, not with suspicion, just a face she did not recognize. A young woman, perhaps mid-30s, sitting quietly toward the back, alone, a small child beside her. Mavis assumed she was a former student, or a colleague's relative, or simply someone from the community who had come to pay respects. She did not think about her again until after the burial. The family had returned to the house, the particular controlled chaos of a post-funeral gathering. Food appearing from everywhere, relatives filling every room, the low hum of people who are sad and also hungry and also haven't seen each other in years. The knock on the door came in the late afternoon. Thomas answered it. The young woman stood on the doorstep. The child stood beside her, and under her arm she carried a brown envelope. She introduced herself. Her name was Joyce. She was 35 years old, and she said, with the composed directness of someone who had rehearsed this moment many times, that she needed to speak to the family about Cedric's estate. They let her in. What else do? You let her in. The room rearranged itself around this new presence. Relatives drifting to the edges. The core family drawing together. Mavis sitting very still in her chair, with the expression of a woman who is preparing for something she cannot yet name. Joyce sat down. She placed the brown envelope on the table. She opened it slowly. The first thing she laid out was a photograph. Cedric. Unmistakably Cedric. The same face that had smiled from the framed pictures on the walls of this house for 40 years, but younger in this photograph. More recent, standing beside Joyce with the particular ease of a man who is comfortable where he is. The second thing was bank statements, months of them, transactions. Regular, deliberate, clearly intentional. Money moving from an account the family recognized as Cedric's into an account they did not. The third thing was a birth certificate. The child's name. The father listed, Cedric. The room was completely silent. Mavis looked at the documents on the table. She looked at the child. She looked at Joyce. And the grief she had been carefully holding together since Tuesday morning began to change shape into something she had not prepared for. Thomas spoke first. He was a social worker, a man trained to navigate exactly these kinds of impossible human situations with professionalism and care. But he was also a son who had just buried his father that morning, and the professionalism was working very hard against something much more raw. He said, carefully, that the family would require a DNA test. Joyce nodded. She had expected this. She had, it emerged, already prepared for this. The DNA test was conducted through a certified laboratory. The results took days that moved like weeks inside the walls of that house. Days during which Mavis sat in the home she had shared with Cedric for 42 years and looked at the photographs on the walls and the furniture they had chosen together and the life that was still physically present everywhere she turned, and felt it all become slightly less certain with every passing hour. The results came. The family gathered. Joyce laid the paper on the table, the same way she had laid everything else, with the quiet finality of someone who has known the truth all along and has simply been waiting for everyone else to catch up. The DNA matched. A murmur moved through the room like a wave. Gasps. The specific sound of people whose understanding of reality has just been revised without their permission. And then, because the results confirmed Joyce's story but did not fully explain it, something else emerged. Cedric had known. He had not simply fathered this child unknowingly and walked away. He had known about Joyce. He had known about the child. He had been sending money, regularly, deliberately, for years. He had been present in this child's life in ways the family was only now beginning to understand. A hushed secret, maintained across 42 years of marriage, now brought into the harsh light of a funeral afternoon. Mavis sat very still. She did not speak. There is the grief of losing someone you love, and then there is the grief of losing the version of that person you thought you knew. The second grief is in some ways worse, because it does not just take the future. It reaches back and unsettles the past. It makes you question the mornings and the evenings and the ordinary Tuesdays. It makes you wonder what was real and what was performance. It makes 42 years feel simultaneously like everything, and like something you need to recalculate from the beginning. Mavis had not been given time to grieve the first grief. Now she was handed the second one on top of it. She thought about Joyce, 35 years old, the age of her own daughter, a young woman who had found an older man of means and position and had made a calculation. The same calculation it would later become clear that other young women were making with increasing deliberateness across the country, targeting men who were approaching pension, men who had accumulated assets, men who had, perhaps, a weakness for attention from someone young enough to make them feel something they had stopped expecting to feel, men who would pay quietly, regularly, to maintain a silence that protected everything they had built. Cedric had not been the first. He would not be the last, but knowing this did not make it hurt less. It made it hurt differently. Gladys, the lawyer, fought. She fought with everything her training and her grief and her love for her mother gave her. She filed the appropriate challenges, raised the appropriate arguments, presented the appropriate evidence. She sat in that courtroom as both a legal professional and a daughter, and she made the case for her mother with the particular ferocity of someone who has something worth protecting. The court listened, the court considered, and the court ruled. The child, Joyce's child, Cedric's child, the DNA confirmed it beyond legal challenge, was entitled to a share of the estate. The law, which does not concern itself with the circumstances of conception or the pain of the people left behind, recognized the child's right, regardless of how that right had come to exist. Mavis was ordered to share. Thomas and Gladys were ordered to share, with a child they had not known existed that morning. Mavis sat in the courtroom and heard the ruling and felt something shift inside her chest. A physical thing, a tectonic movement, the kind that happens when something has been held under too much pressure for too long. Gladys reached for her hand immediately. "Mama, we appeal. We take this further." Mavis looked at her daughter, this daughter she had raised, this lawyer she had watched become, this woman who was prepared to fight on her behalf for as long as it took. She shook her head. She was tired. She was 65 years old, and she had buried her husband and discovered his secret and sat through a DNA confirmation and attended a court hearing, all in the span of weeks that should have been reserved for the quiet, private, sacred work of grief. She was tired in a way that had no simple remedy. 3 weeks after the court ruling, Mavis had a stroke. She was sitting in her kitchen, the same kitchen where she had made 42 years of meals, where the children had done homework at the table, where Cedric had sat every morning with his tea. When it happened, Thomas found her. The doctors said stress, said the body carries what the mind cannot fully process, said that grief, compounded and complicated and denied its proper time and space, finds other ways out. She recovered, partially, slowly, but something had changed in her, something visible to the people who loved her, something that had not been there before all of this began. In her quieter moments, and there were many quiet moments now, in a house that had once been full of noise and was now very still, she talked to Cedric, not warmly, not with the fond, one-sided conversations that widows sometimes have with the photographs of their husbands, with something harder than that. "When I come there," she said, to the framed photograph on the mantelpiece, to the empty chair at the kitchen table, to the presence that was everywhere and nowhere, "I am going to find you, and you are going to answer for this." Thomas heard her say it once, and did not know whether to feel heartbroken or afraid. Gladys heard her say it, and understood that her mother was not losing her mind. She was simply the most betrayed person in the room, and she was making a promise. Joyce got what she came for. The child received a legal share of an estate, built over 42 years by two people who believed they were building it together. Whether Joyce felt anything in that courtroom, any awareness of what her strategy had cost a 65-year-old woman who had done nothing wrong, is not recorded. What is recorded is the pattern, because Joyce is not unique. This is a strategy, documented, deliberate, increasingly common. Young women identifying older men of means, men approaching pension, men with property, men with accumulated assets, and making a calculation, a pregnancy, a claim, a DNA test that cannot be argued with, a legal right that the court cannot ignore. The men, like Cedric, often pay quietly for years, managing the secret, maintaining the distance, believing that money is a sufficient solution to a problem that money cannot actually solve. And when those men die, the secret walks through the front door with a brown envelope at the funeral. To every family listening to this story, know that the law protects children, regardless of the circumstances of their birth. That is right, and it is just. But know also that the people who are most hurt by these situations are rarely the ones who made the choices that caused them. Mavis did not make a single wrong choice in 42 years, and Mavis is the one who had a stroke. Somewhere in that house, on the mantelpiece, Cedric's photograph looks out at an empty kitchen, and somewhere between this world and wherever it is we go, Mavis has a promise to keep. God help him when she gets there.